Okay, class, picking up where we left off at. We did the cross multiplication of x times 5, which gave us 5x. And now we're multiplying to 7 times the x plus 14. So we add 7x plus 98. Now we need to get all the x's on one side. So we will subtract 7x on both sides. And we will have a negative 2x is equal to 98. Now, with our negative 2x equals 98, we need to divide each side by negative 2. And we will have x is equal to a negative 49. And that is the final answer. Now we go to our next example. We still have to cross multiply. We will have y plus 10 times 4 is equal to 10 times y minus 2. So we will do the distributive property here. We will have 4y plus 40 is equal to 10y minus 20. And we need to get all the y's on one side. So we can subtract 10y on both sides. And we will add negative 6y plus 40 is equal to a negative 20. Now we will subtract 40 on both sides. And we will add negative 6y is equal to negative 60. Now we will divide each side by negative 6. And y is equal to 10. Now, we go down here to applications. There are many practical application problems that can be solved using proportions. Here is a procedure for solving these kinds of problems. Read the problem and represent the unknown quantity by x or any letter. Next, set up a proportion by listing the given ratio on one side and the ratio with the unknown quantity on the other side. Each respective quantity should occupy the same corresponding position on each side of the proportion. Drop units and apply the cross products principle. Solve for x and answer the question. Example, the tax on a house whose assessed value is $245,000 is $1,250. Determine the tax on a house with a value of $1,200. So if you look down here, we see this home that's worth $245,000 versus this home that's worth $1,200. So let's first set this up. We had a $245,000 home with a taxable rate of $1,250. Then on the other side here, we will have this cost of the home, which is $1,200, but we don't know the property tax. Now remember, they must be, when we set these up as a fraction, they must be the same. Like for instance, this is the cost of this house, this is the cost of this house, this is the tax rate, this is the tax rate, or the taxes on the house. So we have to have these set up correctly. So now we cross multiply. We add 245,000 times x. And we set that equal to 1,250 times 1,200. So when we multiply this here, we add 245,000. X is equal to 1,250 times 1,200. This would give us 1,500,000. Now, we will need to divide each side by 245,000. Here, let me erase this comma here. So now, 245,000 divided by 245,000 will give us x. Now we will have to take 1,500,000 divided by 245,000. This would give you approximately $6.12. So we need to rewrite this with an approximation symbol. of $6.12. That would be the property tax on this property. Now, of course, we have this typed out for you. Has the tax value or value tax, tax over value, $12.50. Now, what end up happening here is this. I use this setup here with the 245,000 over 1,250, 1,200 over the tax. But they did the reverse. They did the tax over the cost of the home. But as long as they are lined up correctly, it still will give you the same answer. Cost of the home, tax with tax. Same thing here, cost of the home, tax with tax. And then they did the proportion and they multiplied. They did the cross multiplication and solved. Now, example. The capture-recapture method of estimating the number of animals in a population. Because it is impossible to count each individual animal within a population, biologists randomly catch and tag a given number of animals. Later, they recapture a second sample of animals and count the number of recaptured tagged animals. The total size of the wildlife population is estimated using a proportion. It's the original number of tagged animals divided by the total number of animals in a population. The number of recaptured tagged animals with the number of animals in the second sample. So, it says wildlife biologists catch, tag, and then release 120 deer back into a wildlife refuge. 2 weeks later, they observe a sample of 150 deer, 25 of which are tagged. Assuming the ratio of tagged deer in the sample holds for all deer in the refuge, approximately how many deer are in the refuge? So let's take a look here. Now, we have the original number of tagged animals, which was 120. And we don't know what the forward population is, which would be X. Now, this is equal to, okay, now, again, we have 120 over X, which is the original tagged amount over the population that we don't know. Okay, now we have 25 tagged animals from 150 deer that was captured. And this would be the total population, which would be 150. So we have tagged animal, population with population. Now we cross multiply. You have 120 times 150 is equal to 25 times X. So you have 120 times 150, which will give us 18,000, and that's equal to 25x. Now we would divide each side by 25, and that would give us the population of 720. So 720 is equal to x. So we can assume based on this data that it's 720 deer in this wildlife refuge. Now, we can go below here and see the typed out solution, which we have here to be 120 over D equals 25 over 150. But in this example, they did something a little different. They simplified the 25 over 150, which gave us 1/6, and then did the proportion. It still gave us 720, and we could say from this solution, we say that there are approximately 720 deer in the refuge, and we are done.